Hello everyone, coming up tonight on Now. If you live in the city of Bangor and you lost all of your food during those power outages, well, you may be reimbursed. We'll explain. Plus, you may like your phone, probably don't want a new one, but technology could be changing and software companies admit they may be making your old phone obsolete. Plus, our president loses his Twitter account. How did that happen? We'll explain. This is News Center now. Everyone, I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. The numbers are dropping, but still thousands of households are now on day 5 without power.
Yeah, today, Maine Emergency Management and utility companies say the goal is Saturday. Almost all of their customers should be online by then.
You know, the speed of the storm is often defined by the damage, and we now have counted 1,000 broken poles, and we've replaced close to 600 broken poles. And that will continue to be our focus today.
The utility companies prioritize easier fixes with the most payoff, meaning what's left now are the rural areas with extensive damage. CMP president says it could take hours and several trucks to get 5 people back on the grid.
Yeah, the number of homes without power has finally dipped below 6 figures with just about 60,000 customers in the dark. That's CMP and Emera combined.
Now, until then, you want to make sure that you're lighting and you're lighting your home safely, so stick to flashlights because candles could be a fire hazard. Make sure that your generator is properly set up outside. Please check our website for more generator safety tips. So no power means no refrigeration, and that means a lot of families lost all their groceries this week.
They can get really expensive. So the city of Bangor is offering assistance to residents whose food was spoiled during the outage. All you have to do is prove that you live in the city and that you lost power. Tennyson Coleman reports.
If you lost food during this week's historic storm and you live in Bangor, there's a resource available to help you replace what you lost.
We lost everything in our deep freezer, which is about $200 worth, and then everything in our fridge and our regular freezer.
Many people in the area share a similar story.
$37 is what I had in my bank account to go get food.
You know, we live paycheck to paycheck. It's not like we're we're not rich or anything. It's like, so when we lose $400 out of our budget, our weekly budget, it's like that's huge.
The city's General Assistance Fund is paying to replace some of the food folks have lost, using a combination of state and city dollars.
We will issue vouchers to either Hannaford or Shaw's, and they're for food only.
The dollar amount in vouchers awarded to families is based on income. Bangor Community Services Manager Rindy Fogler says it's been a while since this service has been utilized in response to a storm.
I've been in this position for 9 years, and we've never had a situation where people have been without power for this length of time and have lost, their frozen goods and all of their perishable items.
Many in need are just happy services like this exist, and some hope to be better prepared the next time another natural disaster like this week's storm rips through Maine.
My biggest lesson was I need to remember to stock up on things better.
All right, so if you need assistance, you can head to the Department of Public Health and Community Services on Texas Road in Bangor between 8:30 and 4:30. That happens until next Thursday.
And just a reminder, this is only for Bangor residents. To find out about services in your city or your town, just reach out to your local authorities. Also, one other exception is people who are on SNAP benefits do not qualify for this type of assistance. So if you do receive SNAP benefits and you lost your food, you're encouraged to reach out to DHHS.
Okay, a ton of photos have come out of this storm. Check out this one, though. Emera Maine posted it to their Twitter account. This tree is upside down, hanging from the power lines. It's in Blue Hill. Of course, they are warning everyone to stay safe.
Governor LePage today says he is proud of the crews that have been working around the clock, and he's asking Mainers to just wait a little while longer.
I'll tell you, in the ice storm, it took 21 days to get back to full power. We're going to get it done in about 4 days, and I can't thank Emera, CMP, and not only them, but all the states that sent crews up here to help Maine, and the Canadians that have been so willing to come in. I know the Mottos is feeding them lunch. I mean, it's just everybody's pitched in and is getting this done. I'm hoping that we'll have power by Saturday in Booth Bay, in our little neck of the woods, but I guess this morning it's down from nearly 500,000 down to 68,000, so we're really making a lot of progress. I continue to ask Mainers, just be patient, we're going to get there. It's still only been 3 days. It is the fourth day, we're getting it done, we're going to get it done very quickly, and we'll get back to normal next week.
And hours after we spoke with him, the governor announced that he has vetoed the bipartisan bill to regulate commercial sales of marijuana in Maine. Approved almost exactly a year ago by voters, commercial sales regulations had to be hammered out by legislators. The bill they put forth was shot down by Governor LePage today. He said the rules conflict with federal law, don't address issues with the medical marijuana program, and have an unrealistic timeline. The bill will now go back to the State House for a potential override vote. They will need 2/3, numbers they did not have the first time.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the heat today, because it doesn't look like there's going to be more heat coming over the weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty warm. Keith, how cold is it going to get this weekend?
Just really normal, right? But look at today's high temperatures. Just another day in November and May, nothing to see here. 72 in Sanford, 70 officially in Portland, 67 in Bangor. Only area that didn't really get in on this, Greenville, at 58 degrees. It's still mild in the upper 60s in Portland, Sanford at 65, 59 in Augusta, but some showers coming through. That is showing us the air mass change that will be coming in tonight and in through tomorrow. A couple of these showers look a little feisty here, and it wouldn't shock me if, because it's getting cool aloft, if we saw a little small hail in some of these as they move towards the mid-coast and into Bangor as well. Let me know if you do see any small hail falling. Otherwise, those showers that move out tonight. Things start to cool down, dropping into the 30s and in some spots 20s by tomorrow morning. And yes, tomorrow will feel cool. In reality, though, of course, it's just average for this time of the year. Nice bright day on Saturday, a few more clouds on Sunday with a few isolated showers. Guys, I think one more chance to get into the upper 60s again on Monday, then the hammer really drops next week. It could be legitimately cold. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
KC dropping the hammer. All right, still to come on now. Who shut down the president's Twitter account? It was a mystery that was quickly solved by the social media company. That story when we come back. And later.
They're trying to nibble around the edges to make it harder for you to use an older object.
The new iPhone is out today, and you may not want one, but Apple is going to use your current device to pressure you into buying one. We'll explain coming up on Now.
Twitter says it was an employee's last act before leaving the company. President Trump's personal Twitter account was, quote, inadvertently deactivated last night.
It was only for 11 minutes, but the world noticed. Adam wants to know how a Twitter employee on his or her last day of work had the power to shut down the president's megaphone. That's terrifying, he says. And Minerva says even if you don't support President Trump, you shouldn't be celebrating the deactivation of his Twitter account. She says it's censorship and anyone could be next.
And President Trump also hints that this, quote, inadvertent deactivation was on purpose. When his account was brought back online, he tweeted, quote, I guess the world must finally be getting out and having an impact. He says that the account was taken down by a rogue employee.
But Twitter says whether the employee works for them currently or not, they are investigating the incident and taking steps to prevent this from happening again. They're calling it human error.
But of course, the jokes started rolling in. Elle says this is because Melania put her foot down and the president's phone is probably somewhere on the White House lawn. Others saw an opportunity when the Trump Twitter went silent. Darcy tried to snatch up the real Donald Trump handle for herself.
Wow. She tried. Speaking of the president and Twitter, check out this tweet from Auto Pizzeria, which has a lot of locations across Maine and Massachusetts. The company referenced a CBS News article that says the CEO of pizza company Papa John's is blaming falling pizza sales on the NFL protests. Auto quote tweeted the article saying, quote, we value individuality, freedom of expression, and the exchange of diverse ideas. sales are fine.
Papa John's is a sponsor and advertiser of the NFL. We did reach out to Otto for further comment and they declined, but did write us in a message, quote, "The tweet, which we stand behind 100%, was an in-the-moment sentiment, a lighthearted jab to remind folks that there are many businesses out there who don't subscribe to the notion that business is better when free expression is suppressed."
Okay, are tech companies purposely slowing down your phone?
Why some of those new features just literally can't be faster because of the way the processor is actually integrated into the design process.
How those software upgrades are actually slowing down your device. That's next.
And it's beginning to feel a lot like November this weekend. Keith has our reality check coming up. That is Rob Lowe, Marcia Gay Harden, and the rest of the cast and crew of the TV show Code Black, sending a Merry Christmas message to Jacob Thompson. We introduced you to Jacob and his family at the beginning of this week. The 9-year-old from Maine is battling cancer and his time is limited, so he and his family will be celebrating Christmas next weekend. Jacob asked for homemade Christmas cards, and the volume is staggering. The entire state of Maine has rallied around Jacob and his family. Cards have been coming in from across the nation and across the world. As you can see in this video, Jacob has been spending a lot of time going through everything that has been coming in, so keep them coming. To see more pictures of Jacob opening his cards and gifts and to get the address on where to send Jacob a card, just go to our website. Amanda?
Really sweet. Thanks, Lee. All right, all over the world, people camped out waiting to get their hands on the brand new iPhone 10. Let's take a look at some of the video openings in Sydney, Australia, Tokyo, Beijing, and Hong Kong. Internationally, the scene was the same. Hundreds of people waiting their turn and loud cheering when the doors finally opened. It was 10 years ago that Apple released their very first iPhone. The 10 is meant to commemorate that milestone. iPhone may have been the first of its kind, but since then, Samsung and Google have created their own smartphones with advanced technology. Still, many Apple customers remain loyal.
I love the iPhone, you know, I can never go to Samsung, you know, I can never go to a different brand, so the iPhone is a big part of my life, you know, I love using it, I love how simple it is, I love the way it works. I would never want to go to anything more complicated or anything like Android.
Just some features of the new 10. It has facial recognition, it has a new camera, it also has Animojis, the emojis that move. Now, you know and love them, of course.
Sure, and you might be perfectly happy with the smartphone that you already have, but are these companies pressuring you to go out and get the next big thing?
Yeah, tech experts say yes, they are. They're actually disguising it as free software upgrade. It's called planned obsolete.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
When Apple said they would reinvent the phone, what they didn't mention is they would continue to reinvent it every year or two since.
This is iPhone 5S. The iPhone 6 Plus.
This is iPhone 10.
And with each new iPhone model has come an updated operating system,
iOS 8.
with new features, which owners of previous phones can also download. But what some owners of older generation iPhones notice is that as they keep updating new software as recommended by Apple, their older phones eventually slow down so much that they feel the need to buy a new one again.
It's the best iPhone.
I would say every company tries to maximize the number of times they can sell you something. So they're finding ways to kind of let you know, you've got a slow phone, there's better, newer stuff out there.
George John teaches economics at the U of M and is very familiar with the concept of planned obsolescence, a policy of producing consumer goods that rapidly become obsolete and so require replacing. He says smartphone companies don't practice full-blown planned obsolescence. However,
they're trying to nibble around the edges to make it harder for you to use an older object.
You ever notice how insistent your phone can be in suggesting you download and install the latest update?
Okay, check it out.
It's not required, but the company almost makes it harder not to update.
Keeps nagging you. You know, why are you not upgrading your software? Hey, the security software, and there's this and there's that.
Apple optimizes for the new. They try to bring as many of the old devices along as they can.
John Rexeisen is the top iOS app developer at The Nerdery. He says Apple develops its new phones hand in hand with its new software, fully integrated. Meantime, the new software works on old phones, just not as well.
That's why some of those new features just literally can't be faster because of the way the processor is actually integrated into the design process.
What would happen if I bought an iPhone and I never updated the operating system or any of the apps?
Really, it would feel just about the same as it always has.
But despite retaining all its snappiness, Rex Eisen says there's a danger in that strategy because operating system updates also patch security flaws.
What's the risk of leaving these security flaws on your phone? What's going to happen?
The most serious way that this could happen is so someone external of your phone can send you maybe a text message and say, click here, you could click on it, and then someone could have access to your phone.
More likely, Rex Eisen says, your phone might crash from time to time. So what should an iPhone user do? You could research the new features included in iOS downloads and weigh whether they're worth a slight performance decrease. Rex Eisen suggests if you have the oldest phone model compatible with the newest iOS, stick with the older software. For example, if you have an iPhone 5S, maybe avoid iOS 11.
iOS updates needed.
If you're sort of one step up from the bottom, you're pretty good for upgrading.
Android users face the same frustration with yearly updates, and the experts say the slowdown can be worse in some phone models because the operating system is not optimized for all of them. The auto updates of the OS and the apps in Android can be turned off.
Okay.
Meantime, George understands the frustration.
I think they're justified.
That comes when adding something new can make your phone feel so much older.
For iOS update.
Lou Raguse, KARE 11 News.
Thanks to our partner station in Minnesota for that report. Really interesting.
Yeah, all right. I'm all, listen, I'm so old school. I'll go back to tin cans and some string, man. Like, you want to talk to somebody, just come on over and say hello. I loved my Razor. Remember the Razor?
Yeah, that was big. I miss having an actual keyboard.
Right.
That's the only weird thing. Like the little BlackBerry I used to have. I love that thing. Beautiful today. Not beautiful, warm. There were times that it was showery and cloudy, but man, very mild for this time of the year. 68 right now, still in Portland, 57 in Lewiston. Almost everyone's still running above average, but you can see that's coming to an end. Look up towards Montreal and Quebec, they're in the 40s. You can see just by the shading where that cooler air is going to be sliding in from the northwest here shortly during the overnight hours. Here's the leading edge of that air mass, which is clashing and giving us some showers and maybe, again, a little small hail here wouldn't shock me towards down east as this line moves eastward. But most of the stuff is relatively light and it'll be out of here in the next 2 hours or so. After that, it's going to be clear and chilly tonight. High pressure builds in tomorrow, bright day. Temperatures, though, only in the low 50s for highs, which, again, is actually pretty average, but it just feels weird after how warm we've been. High slides out of the way on Sunday. Not a terrible day on Sunday, but there'll be clouds increasing through the day on Sunday with some showers Sunday afternoon. And then Monday is very similar to today. We're in the warm sector. Temperatures could get in the upper 60s before it comes crashing back down on the backside of it here on Tuesday. So hour by hour forecast clears us out. Tonight is cool. For those of you who don't have power, I guess you're not watching, so never mind. But for the most part, it will be in the 30s for overnight lows, some 20s in the mountains. Bright day tomorrow will get us into the low 50s. Then here come the clouds Saturday night through Sunday and a few showers around. But again, not an overly wet day on Sunday. And we get warm on Monday back into the upper 60s. Indications are, though, that there's a short-lived warm-up on Monday. There's the mild air and a consistent and big trough for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and maybe into next weekend. So much so that it's not just cool, it's pretty much cold by late next week and into the weekend. Now, don't freak out, everybody. This may not happen, but it would be chilly enough for a snow flurry on Friday. Some people will be happy, so there's always that.
Yeah.
It's not a lock, but highs will be in the 30s. So if any moisture moves through in the morning, it would be in the form of snow, and that would be almost all the way to the coastline. It's not a snow event, but it is softening the pattern for what looks like cold next weekend. So some big changes.
It's about that time. John's ready to try his new sled.
I was going to say, there's people asking to get their snowmobiles fired up.
Nobody will be, most people won't be too upset.
All right, sir, thank you. All right, so sometimes we have good days at work, sometimes bad days at work. No matter what job you have, that's how it works. Well, Chris Costa yesterday did a story about beer. Chris Costa today does a story about beer. Hey, Coco, how's your week going?
So far, so good. A cloudy weekend looks like it's a good idea to check out Portland Beer Week. That starts this Sunday. A lot of you reached out to us on social media using the hashtag #MyMaine yesterday regarding our story about Maine's craft beer industry and its explosive growth. So Joseph says Viridian by Banded Horn Brewing in Biddeford is his favorite. Jason says his favorite beer brewery is SoMe, I hope I'm saying that right, brewing in Yorks for southern Maine. And then Dominic says it's hard to choose. Amen to that. So he gave us some categories. However, Susan says she finds it kind of wrong to promote drinking beer during your newscast. So Susan, we thank you for your input. No matter which way you look at it, though, brewers and bartenders alike are noticing the growth, and they say it's great for the state. They also say more tourists are coming to Maine specifically for the craft beer.
And it brings another element of fun and enjoyment as a craft brewery owner to be able to tell the craft story in Maine and in New England.
Oh, it's jumped exponentially. I mean, it honestly seems like every couple months or so we're getting a new brewery that's opening up. Not only are they good, they're fantastic because they have to survive with such a small population.
So Portland Beer Week's sure to attract a lot of tourists. That starts on Sunday. Feel free to share more of your favorite Maine beers with us using that hashtag #MyMaineBrew. Guys?
All right, Chris Costa.
Cindy Williams, he's here with a preview of what's coming up at 5:30.
Hi, guys. Yeah, there was an overnight standoff in which the guy who was doing the standoff managed to escape the house. He was later caught by police. Police say criminals get away like that when the police don't have the resources they need or they're lacking important information. Vivian Lee is going to look into that. And the FBI indictment of 3 former campaign officers is hanging over the White House as President Trump departs for a diplomatic trip to Asia. Those stories and more coming up in the next half hour.
News Center Now will continue after the break.
All right, today released was the congressionally mandated federal report on the state of climate in the United States and in the world. And this is my shocked face. Turns out it's getting warmer and humans are causing it. This is mind-blowing to all scientists around the globe. Their quote is, it's extremely likely that human activities, especially emissions of greenhouse gases, are the dominant cause for observed warming since the mid-20th century. They include this map here, which shows the change in temperature since the 1960s, and this graph here that shows the change in temperature since the 1940s to now. And again, I can't stress this enough, this is a bipartisan effort paid for by the U.S. government and taxpayers to show who causes global warming. And this is the human cause, this is solar, this is volcanic. I don't want to argue about it anymore. We just need to fix it.
Where do cows fit on
We just need to fix it. They're down here somewhere. We just need to do something about it because they just released, this administration is trying to avoid it, and this report just flew in their face.
News Center at 5:30 starts right now.